So, previously in the recap, Blade lost nearly 99% of his powers after a deadly battle against the Demon Lord, but since the Demon Lord was defeated, Blade wanted to live his life as a normal guy, so he enrolled in the Hero Academy and made quite a few friends there. Then after some time Gil brought a dragon to train new students. But that dragon was causing a commotion in the academy, so Blade knocked her out with a punch, and that punch made Blade a papa of that kid dragon. Ernest was worried that Blade won't take her responsibility, but he assured her that he would never abandon that kid dragon, so Blade named her after a brave knight, Cuchulainn. Ku was a bright kid, but she always refused to make any friends because she was a dragon, and dragons seeks power by nature, so they will not make any friends who are weaker than them. Blade didn't think much about it at first, but when he saw that Ku had made a stuffed toy of every student she had met up until now, he realized that he had ignored how lonely she was. So he tells Ernest, and she gathered all of those students to request them to defeat Ku, and all of those students knew that they were no match for a dragon, so Blade begs them. And Ernest also get down on their knees to assure them she and her whole advanced class will fight with them. Seeing that all those students couldn't refuse them and had decided to fight Ku to make her their friend. Then their fight begins, and right from the start, Ku had the upper hand, but Ernest used her flames to distract her for a moment, and tells others to remember their training, and getting that. Everyone puts up a defense around her, but still Ku destroyed their right flank easily, yet they didn't give up and still fought consistently. They kept attacking her blind spots. And King Gil was observing their fight. He tells Blade that their attack won't damage Ku because of her dragon scales, and just as Gil predicted, Ku had taken out many of the students. So he believes the fight will end on Ku's side, but then Blade gives them a signal, and Sophie took the lead. She punched Ku, and Ernest used her flames to do some partial damage. Then Ku falls down in a pit, and Gil tells Blade to let them fight fair and square. Blade tells him they didn't dug that hole before match to cheat, but rather Leonard just dug it up. So it's considered strategy. Then Ernest wanted to use her flames again, but Asmodeus was tired from non-stop use, so Ernest tells him to stop being a wimp and use his powers again. Then, Ku was about to take off, so Ernest blasts her down. There Sophie used gravity magic to land a heavy punch on her, and Blade signals Ernest again, so she gets ready to use her sword again. But Asmodeus begs her to let him rest, but Ernest shuts him up and uses its power to make a condensed fire attack, so others transferred their magic into her. And that condensed power forced Ku to transform back to her human form. Ku gets sad thinking that she's weak, but Blade comforts her, saying she's not weak but rather humans are just strong. So she should be friends with them. Ku agrees and asked them to become her friend, and everyone happily agreed. Then some days later, girls were taking their turn to take care of Ku because they can't help since she's too adorable, but their Blade noticed a change in Ernest. But others tries to change the subject and tells Blade not to say the forbidden, but Blade becomes honest and tells her she's gotten fat. Hearing that, she runs away crying and said she was done being friends with Blade. After that, 3 days had passed and Ernest never showed up. Blade thought he screwed up his friendship with her, so he wanted to apologize to her, but others stopped him from going alone, knowing he would screw up even more. So they all tagged along and gets to her room, but Ernest didn't respond to their call, so Jessica picked her lock and get in. Her room was dark and they saw Ernest crying, but then Ku jumped in. So they turned on the light and saw Ernest actually just munching on her sweets. There they found the culprit behind her overweight, so Ernest explains that she can't control her hunger after their fight with Ku, which caused her to be in this state. So Blade asks if they're done being friends, and Ernest declines and tells him that they're still friends, which relieves Blade, so he was about to leave, but Claire and Jessica stopped him. They wanted Blade to compliment her, so Blade did as they wanted, but he made matters even worse with honesty about her, so Leo tries to handle the matter, saying he would still be loyal even after her overweight, so Ernest punched him off, as he had screwed up even more, but then this time, Blade understands the situation and gets to her. He tells Ernest to let them help her with her weight problem with exercise, and Ernest agreed, but she still didn't stop munching down her sweets. Then Ernest took Blade's advice and followed him for exercise. She tries endlessly to reduce weight and Ku was cheering her on. Then Claire and Jessica cuts out her calories to help her out from their end. Then Ernest take her time in sauna to burn out fat, but her weight still remained the same. So girls tells her not to lose hope. Their Blade heard her cry and tries to check out, but for that he gets labeled as a perv, but then Ernest got a different idea. So she brought Blade to the arena again for backup. She then calls out her sword Asmodeus, and Asmodeus answered to her call and Ernest gets engulfed in flames. Those flames grew bigger and others arrived to check up on her, but Ernest was changed completely as Asmodeus had taken control of her body. Asmodeus was rapping on about becoming an unbeatable existence with Ernest's body, but Ernest speaks up from inside again and tells Asmodeus she called him out to burn her fat. Asmodeus understood that and told her this form consumed at least 1,000,000 calories per hour to maintain power, so Ernest got happy that she found a shortcuts to lose her weight. But then Ernest burned up too much of her calories and got insanely hungry. She lost herself and thought of eating Claire, so Blade used his third sword technique. But only the air version of impact to extinguish her fire, and there Ernest had returned to her normal figure again with her sanity, but then after some time, Ernest got fat again and turned her hard effort into nothing. She tells them that she could bring back her figure again with that Asmodeus trick. But her friends knew she was just making excuses to gulp down those sweets. And that concludes our episode 4, but please like the video if you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments section if you want to watch more of this anime. As well as subscribe to the channel to watch new and old anime recaps.